Hey y'all! Today we're going to build a to-do application using Python and the Flask web framework and Copilot to see how Copilot can make us faster with things we might already know how to do. So let's do it. So we're starting with a completely blank folder here, and let's start by creating a virtual environment. I can never remember the syntax for that, so let's just ask for create a Python virtual environment. Let's see what it says. The venv module, that's right. Okay, so here's the command we want, and we can put it right into the terminal just like that. Oh, that's into a new file, I'm sorry. Let's try that again. Into the terminal. And then how do we activate it on Mac OS? Perfect, and since we did the terminal before, it's back here. And let's click that. All right, so now we have a virtual environment. Let's get started. All right, we'll create, I'm gonna close this for a second, this terminal. Let's create a new file here, and then let's open up the inline chat and just say a simple Flask app. And there we go, it's good enough. I wanna change this, I don't want this to be, this should just be the home route. Returning hello world is fine for now, and let's save this as app.py. Okay. Okay, let's run this and see what actually happens here. So we need to install Flask first. So we'll do that. And then we'll go ahead and run this thing like this. All right, so we're up and running with a Flask app, not too difficult. Hello world, there we go. Now we probably could have gotten that far on our own with a couple internet searches. I don't think it would have taken us that much longer, but let's keep going here. For our application, we need an actual template. So I'm going to create a new template file here in the folder called templates, because I know that's where templates have to go, and then call it index.html. And you'll see the trick that I use there to create the folder and the file at the same time. I've done that in other videos. In this file, we're going to start and create some HTML. I did that with just the bang. So if you put a bang and then tab, you'll get HTML boilerplate here, minimal, just what you need. So we'll just call this Flask TODOs. And then what we want to do is include a style sheet. And I'm going to use the Bulma CSS framework. Bulma CSS. If you've never seen this before, I recommend you take a look. It's beautiful and easy to use, most importantly. And so let's ask, I'm going to bring up the inline chat here and just say, how can I include Bulma from Bulma CSS from the CDN, because we don't actually want to download it. We just want to pull it in from a CDN. And let's see what it says here. There we go. All right, so this is the line that we need. We can just copy this out here, and then we'll paste it in. All right, and we have Bulma now included. So let's add some markup here. We'll just call this to-dos. And I'm going to include some other markup here, because I understand Bulma already. What I want is, you can see it's guessing for me. It's actually trying to create the whole application. We're gonna let Copilot do that. We want a section, and I'm gonna make that a hero. And then inside of that section, I want a box. And basically, I'm just gonna put everything in the box. And this is just gonna give us some nice styling for the application. Okay, so at this point, we're not actually watching the application. So we're gonna need to reload. And so let me show you, right? If we refresh, we don't see the updates here. And that's because it is not reloading our app whenever we make changes. So let's ask Copilot about that. Why is my Flask app not restarting when I make changes? Okay, does not automatically restart unless you enable debug mode. Okay, so Flask env. So let's copy this into the terminal. We'll set an env. Actually, this terminal is running, so let's stop this. So let's put this in here, and then app.debug equals true. We can put up here, right there. All right, and then how are they running it? Copilot says, yeah, you should not run. Okay, and then let's try it again. All right, so we're not actually pulling in the template now, and that's because we haven't told our home route to return the template. So let me increase the font size, collapse the sidebar. So here, let's say return index.html template. And you can see, here's the changes. Let's go ahead and just take them here, but it's rendering this template here, index.html. So hopefully, all right, and our watch is now working. You can see we didn't have to restart from the command line. It just updated, so that's nice. So now let's pass some to-dos here to our application. So let's get some to-dos, some fake to-dos, and I'm just gonna give Copilot the structure, right? Now, I want these things to have like an ID and a title and a completed. So let's just give it that. So let's give it ID. Oh, okay, so, and you can see it's already completing this for us. However, I don't actually want this to be a string here. And actually, what is wrong here? Why doesn't it like this? What does Copilot say? Do these need to be strings? They do. Okay, so it's gonna quote them all. All right, so Copilot made a mistake there, but then it fixed its own mistake. So here though, I want these IDs to be GUIDs. So I'm gonna say UUID. Actually, I don't remember what the syntax is here. So let's just say GUID for ID. What is it gonna do there? No, so let me just ask, how can I make the ID a GUID? There we go. This is what we want here. So let's add this as an include. And then for our ID, we're convert it to a string. And I think we can say, there we go. And then what did it say to do? UUID 4, okay. All right, so it's gonna give us, and then watch this. We should be able to just, and so Copilot is giving us more to-dos. Let's just have like 4 out of the box here. Oops, I forgot a comma. There we go. All right, let's move this down. Do a little cleanup here. I don't know why my formatting is not working. Format document. Oh, okay, everything's formatted correctly now, but let's highlight this and just say, give me some more realistic to-dos, because we want it to be like, take out the garbage, clean your room, things like that. Yeah, buy groceries, finish report, perfect. So now we've got some call mom, it's a good one, exercise for 30 minutes, amazing, good idea. And then we have the completed field. So we want to return these, and you can see that Copilot will go ahead and return those as well. So we're sending the to-dos to the template. So let's go over to our template here and do a little work. In our box here, we need a couple things. So we need like an input and a button for creating a to-do. And then below that, we need to list out the to-dos with the ability to mark them as complete or delete them. So let's just start at the top and work down. So the first thing we're gonna need is an input. And we know from using Bulma, I know at least, that the class is input for an input. And then we need a button. And the class for buttons is button. And it'll just say create, and then we'll just say is primary, which will make the button green, okay? Let's jump over and take a look at this. Oh, and we must be having some difficulties here, looks like. All right, so now we have an input and a create button here, but I want to put the button on the end of the input, and you can do that with Bulma, but I don't remember how. So let's highlight the button in the input and say put the button at the end of the input. Let's see what it does. Didn't really do anything. Let's give it a little bit more instructions using Bulma CSS. There we go, that looks better. So I'm gonna take that and say okay, refresh. That's what we wanted right there, perfect. So now we need to wrap this in a form that will allow us to post back and create the to-do. So let's just highlight this all and say wrap in a form. And Copilot should be able to figure out the rest here. So let's see what we've got. We have a form. We need to be more specific because it just gave us a form here. Wrap in a form that posts to create to do route. So there we go. We have the action and the method there. And then on the input here, we need a name. So we're going to say the name is title so that we can actually reference this input on the other side here. And looks like it wants it to have a label. We're not going to give it one. On this button, it wants it to have a type. So we'll just go type button. All right, so let's handle the create first. So let's go back here to our routes and just say app.route. And then I think we called it, what do you call it, create to do? Yeah. And then, all right, method post, that's right. Thank you, Copilot. All right, and then it's gonna create the method for us. So let's just look at this. So first of all, request, we don't have that. So we wanna import that from, looks like we wanna import request, redirect, and URL for, and it may pick that up. Yes, it does automatically. All right, so we've imported the things we need. We've got the title, which we're getting from the input, and then we're creating a new to-do with a unique GUID. The title is the title, completed is false, and then appending it, right? So we don't really have a database. This is all in process, but it works fine. And then we're gonna redirect to the home route when we're done. And I don't know if this works, but let's find out. So let's go back to our app and refresh and just say new to-do, and then hit create. Now, we have no idea if that to-do was actually created because we're not listing out our to-dos. So let's add that to our page here. So here, underneath our form, let's write out each to-do. And Copilot may actually try to do this. Yes, it does. So it's saying for, and then it's putting each one in a box. I don't really like that styling, so I'm gonna kind of roll my own here. So let's do for to-do and to-dos, that's right. And then inside of that, for each to-do, I want to put the to-dos with the name of the to-do and then a delete button on the right side. So I'm going to use a column layout in Bulma to do that, just like the grid layout. So let's have one that's a column, and then inside of that, we're going to put the to-do.title, and then that's right. And then below that, we're gonna have another column, and this one we only want it to take up as much space as the content inside the column. So we're gonna use the isNarrow modifier for that. And we want a button inside of there. Actually, we're gonna make it an anchor, and we're gonna send it over. We won't do the anchor for now because I'll explain this in a minute. So let's have an anchor with a class of delete, which is also special to Bulma. It's gonna give us a little delete icon. And then we can just do this right here. And we don't need any text inside of that. And then we need to end our for loop. Perfect. Copilot helping us out there. All right, so let's see if we're getting our to-dos back now. We are. So this is what this looks like, right? You have the text, and then you have the delete button on the side. Now, if we say new to-do, does it actually show up in the list? It does not, so we need to troubleshoot that. So first, let's start with troubleshooting what's actually going on here. So we're posting to create to do, method post, input name, title, text, input. So let's go back and see what's going on. Our title is request.form.title. Should be right, to do, and then todos.append. All of that looks correct. So what is going on here? Do we need to, let's restart just in case. Say new to do. And it doesn't look like our form is actually submitting here, and that's because we need to tell the form that this is a submit. So we did type button, that kind of messed us up. So let's go back and try this again. So it should submit now, hopefully. It does, and there's our new to-do. All right, so what do we have left to do? Marking items as completed and enabling the delete here. So let's start with marking the items as completed. So to do that, there's a couple different ways that we could do this. In a normal RESTful URL scenario, we might post to a to-do because that's the update as a post, and pass the ID and then the values we want to update. Same with delete. If we were doing a RESTful system here, we would pass it as a delete, but we're not. And so we're actually going to use anchors to do both of these things just because it's the quickest way to do this. So for marking an item as completed, we're just toggling the completed state. So we can actually just make this an anchor. And we can say that the, let's set this here. The href, what we actually want to send it to is delete to do, and then we want to send the ID of this to do over to delete to do. And so I don't remember the syntax for this with Genjo, which is the template. So I'm going to say delete to do route pass ID, and let's see if it gives us the right value there. There it is. There's the syntax. It's not that hard. I just forget these simple things. Okay, so this is going to do a delete, but that's actually not what we want. We want to update. Got a little bit ahead of myself. So let's go back and actually add this update method. So let's go to here. Let's see, kind of, but we want to update the to-do. There we go. And then let's see what kind of method it gives us here. So nothing yet. So update to-do. And then, okay, so it's going to find the to-do by ID, and then it's going to toggle the completed status and then redirect back to the home route. So this should work, but how will we know if a to-do has been completed? Well, one way would be to add a strike-through line to the to-do. So let's do that. Let's just take this right here, highlight this and say, if the to-do, if the completed, is it completed or complete? It is completed. So if the completed here, if the completed status is true, add a strike through to the title. Oh, let's see what we get. All right, so it's gonna add an if, and then it wants to add a text decoration. So that's one way to do it, but I wanna do it using the S HTML element, which actually does strike through. All right, that's looking a little better. So what are we doing here? We have an anchor. If it's completed, then we're gonna have this S, and our formatting again is a little wonky. All right, there we go, better. So now if we click on one of these, it's not actually showing the strike through though, because we do have some that are already marked as completed, right? Actually, no, we don't. So we can test this by just marking one. Okay, so now there's a line through. So if I click this, oh, we have an error, unexpected keyword argument ID. So I'm not exactly sure why this isn't working. So let's do this. And let's go back, go to Copilot, and just paste the error in. What does it tell us? The update to do function does not accept any arguments. Oh, it doesn't, does it? There we go. Thank you, Copilot. So let's go back and try this again. Index is out of range. List index out of range. Now what's the problem? Let's go back. Now we're just pasting errors into Copilot. What does it say? So it wants us to do list if to do else return to do not found and then redirect. So we'll just take all of this and then made some modifications here. So let's just replace what we've got with what it suggests with a little error handling. And then let's go back here, refresh. All right, and now we're working. All right, call mom, exercise. So if we select these, then they're no longer strike through. So now we just need the delete condition. Can Copilot anticipate that? It does anticipate that. And then we do need to pass the ID. I'm not gonna get tricked by that twice. So again, Copilot's not perfect. All right, so now let's refresh. Can we delete something? We cannot because we don't have an anchor on our delete button, probably. There we go. So we just need the right href here. Can we get it? Delete to do, and then I think we said it was to-do.id. Wasn't this the right syntax? It was. Okay, and did we call it delete to do over here? All right, so let's refresh. All right, so now this works. So let's clean this up just a little bit here. And what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna select all of this inside of this right here and just cut it out. What I wanna do is create a container div here. So with a little bit of margin on the top, which is to provide a little breathing room between the list and I'm gonna put this back here. I didn't really have to do it that way, but we did. So that provides us a little bit of space. This is a little weird here with the text being like an anchor. So we're just gonna say has text black. Oh, you know what? I am working on the wrong element here. Let's try that again. Has text black. There we go. So now it's looking pretty good. Let's just do a few more cleanup items here because we don't do anything halfway. So on this whole thing, let's just set the background on the body to has background danger. This is going to give us a nice background. That's nice. And then we just want the page to be 100% height. I don't know. I think it will probably anticipate that. Yes. All right. Refresh. And there we go. So there's our to-do list. It's not perfect. We could continue to come in here and make tweaks. Let's say this is title and it has text centered. There we go. And then we could tweak the width of this thing. You know, let's say this whole thing is, this box is to-dos. Let's just give it a fixed width here. A width of a max width. Yeah, interesting. Let's see what that actually gives us. Okay, so looks pretty good. At this point, we have a functional to-do list. And it works. We can delete items, we can add items, we can mark them as completed, and we can mark them as uncompleted. So that's how we built a to-do list using Python and Flask, and with a lot of help from Copilot, because as you can see, I kind of fumbled through that, but Copilot helped us get there a lot quicker than we might otherwise have. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was helpful.